The back like kind of perpetually hurts. It actually hasn't been that bad though. We're talking about sleeping on cots, folks. If you ever slept on a cot, let us know in the comment section below.
Yeah, every time I slept over at my buddy's house, he like pulled out. I couldn't, for some reason, he didn't want me to sleep on a couch. He's like, "Hey, go ahead and sleep on this cot instead." And I'm like, I don't really know if I want to do this.
Yeah. Grab a sip of water real quick.
I would get a swig of Diet Pepsi.
Nice. That's an amber beer, folks. Don't be fooled.
With ice cubes? That would absolutely, to all those connoisseurs out there, they would probably destroy me in half. They'd be like, dude, what do you mean you're drinking beer with ice cubes? What is going on here?
I would probably do it, to be honest with you, get it a little extra cold.
When I look at you right now, I just think of this song, "Yup, in my white tee. Yup, in my white tee." Can you? Yeah, as I say, the only time I see people, I don't even see a lot of people that ever go outside with like a straight up white tee anymore. It's like
Just
very,
me.
Yeah.
Just me, baby.
Do you wear them as undershirts?
I wear them as overshirts.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my god.
Dude, I don't remember what age it happened, but I just like stopped giving a fuck. Clearly, like, check out this ragged shit that I got on my face.
Yeah, it's like we're not on the same page this week. I didn't shave last week, and then I shaved, and then now look at us. We're not even in sync anymore.
If I was in Chicago, I would have shaved this past weekend. So blame it on Massachusetts.
I thought you were going to say blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on the juice. You know that song. Blame it on the alcohol. Yeah. I probably should say
This is actually a sober house, so no booze here, folks.
I was going to say, I shouldn't say that because the copyright, even saying a name on YouTube, I feel like you get copyright claims, dude.
I know.
I've had so many like videos, like it was like a split second of music, and they're like, "Ooh, we found a copyright claim. Are you sure you want to publish this?" And I'm like, "You seriously?"
Wow.
They're rough out here.
See, the music I play is usually like, because I have like a couple YouTube videos that like I have music playing on in the background. I think that's usually like
your go-to.
They're like more low key, so as long as they don't like care that I'm playing their music, it's like free advertising,
You know Loki, Thor's brother?
Yeah, I do actually. He's I'm training him currently. He's a little out of shape. He's a little narcissistic, and he's got a little bit of a mania going on. So we're trying to curb those behaviors. We're trying to channel that negative energy into positive energy, and we're trying to get him jacked, folks. We're working on the swole project.
And also, side note, before we actually get into it and we're not just bantering, if you guys, Roman's a busy guy, yes, but I'm going to put more on his plate on this comment.
Oh, Lord.
If you guys ever need background music for your videos, send him requests all day. He'll do it for you all day long.
I love it, man. I love it.
Hey, you probably wouldn't turn down a request like that, but you'd love it.
I would love it so much, man. Oh my god. I thought I'd actually get more like interest in me doing that, but it was just like it totally fell flat. So I was like, all right, well, people clearly think that my musical talents are for the birds, so I'll leave this off from now on.
I heard the birds usually fly away too.
They do, yeah. 'Cause they're like a bird, they only fly away.
The thing is about me, like, I love music, and music's like, I listen to music like every day. If it's not like a podcast, like on my alone time or free time, it's like usually music, and I don't even have any talent. So at least you're not in that boat. Like, you actually have like talents to actually play instruments. Me, I'm just like, I just like listening to music. That's it.
It's just dedicating time, to be honest with you, to practice a skill. It's just like working out, man. Like when you first like start doing it, it's like you feel so awkward, like squatting, benching, like deadlifting, whatever it is. Then the more you do it, you're just like, yeah, I'm a beast. I can do this.
You heard it here, folks. He is obese. But Roman, episode 41. Holy cow, man! We are almost at like the
Flying.
year mark for podcasts. Will we ever do one again in person? Maybe.
Probably not.
Honestly, I kind of like this way. Like,
Me too.
it's just so much easier because we could like do it digitally, and we don't have to worry about bringing equipment. Eventually Roman's gonna get a better laptop or a microphone or I don't know, but
Or lighting.
or maybe he'll be able to have lighting in the background eventually. But episode 41, Roman, what the heck are we talking about today? What are we gonna have on this episode today? I think it's a good one. I like this because I've done it myself, and I feel like I know a lot of knowledge, and there's so many avenues of doing this.
Yep. So we're talking about the most conditional diet there is. The no ifs, ands, or buts. We're talking about IF, folks. Intermittent fasting. If you didn't get that weird philosophical joke, don't worry about it. Just skip over it. Who cares? We're talking about intermittent fasting, folks. The magical drug for the diet industry. You may not know this, but if you want to lose fat, gain muscle, do intermittent fasting.
Yeah, buddy, you can't sell something if you're just gonna laugh in between the
All right, well, we're gonna try and give you like an honest opinion on intermittent fasting. It's a very popular diet trend. People use it for.
If you want, what I was gonna say is I want to hear your definition, and I'm gonna say mine, and I want to see if it's different because see, the thing is like, what's crazy about this diet or eating habit, I should say, because it technically doesn't have to be a diet, right? It could be a way of eating, right? Or is it just more in the diet scene because of what it is?
When I say diet, I should be more clear when I say diet because I actually mean simultaneously the same item. I try to make it like all encompassing, so both a short-term food or eating strategy as well as a long-term food or eating strategy. And the reason I do that is because technically like our diet is like everything that we eat. But what diet has come to mean in like modern society or in like social settings is like what fad diet, what diet are you using? Usually
that's what I wanted to say.
To caloric restriction. So like trying to reduce your overall like body mass.
Which we know, you and I know that's the meaning of it. But see, the thing is, it has that meaning behind social media, ebooks, programs. Like, it's like that. It's like Kleenex, right? When you say Kleenex, you think everyone's using Kleenex, the tissue paper, to blow your nose, or
What was that chat that we used to do? It was like, chat roulette. Do you ever do chat roulette?
Yeah. Occasionally, I used to go out with my brother to mess with people pretty much all the time.
Chat roulette was baller, except you'd see a lot of like male genitalia like way too often, and you're just like, whoa, congratulations. Next. So, you know how like in chat roulette and also different like IM cultures, it's like ASL, age, sex, location type deal. Like those are like the intro questions that people would ask all the time. Mm-hmm. I feel like diet kind of fits in there. So it's like ASL, diet, question mark. And like, because like it's that ubiquitous and that like well known that people are just like, they identify with each other. Like if somebody was to say like, oh, I do keto, and like, no way, I do keto.
They're going to be like, huh? They're going to get closer and closer to you.
Did we just become best friends? Yup.
So, and
and
this could be one of the series too. Like, it could be like, like a way of eating, and this is IF. And, because there is a lot of stuff that Roman and I can cover.
Yeah.
We've seen people do. We've heard people talk about. We've even done ourselves.
Yep.
So before we get into like our opinions, Roman, I want you to say what your definition of IF is. And we're going to keep saying IF instead of intermittent fasting because it's faster and we're in the world of technology and everything's an acronym. Even your life is an acronym. Don't even fight that.
Yes, true.
But I want to hear your definition, maybe in like a 2-minute splat, and then I'll go.
Sweet.
And then maybe we'll just go off like opinions and like what the ideas behind it is.
I could probably do it even quicker than that. So I'd say intermittent fasting is an intentional period of time. I would say an intentional short period of time, and I'll also identify the window where you intentionally don't eat for an intended purpose. Most IF like diets or people that like practice IF, it seems like they practice it within like a 12 either a 12-hour eating window and a 12-hour fasting window, or a 16-hour fasting window and an 8-hour eating window. I'd say if you go above 24 hours, then it's a general fast, and it might be for something like religious purposes, political purposes, et cetera, all down the line. I wouldn't say that's necessarily intermittent fasting. I would just say it's just generally fasting. So intermittent fasting is typically a period of time each day that you set aside for eating, and it's usually within like either like a 12-12 paradigm, so like 12 hours of fasting, meaning that you don't eat anything or drink anything that could essentially like drink anything that's other than water.
Yeah, that's like caloric. So like we're talking plain tea, plain coffee, water. Those are the only things that you should be drinking technically, or even diet soda.
Even coffee and tea. I've heard from like what you'd probably call like true like IFers. They think that it kicks you out of some of like the various like states that that are like purported. I don't know the exact like physiological response behind that with caffeine, other than because it is a stimulant. You are changing the way that like some cells are going to like react with each other when like they're in a fasted state, when they're not. That's pretty much like as deep as I can go without like totally coming up with some bullshit. Gosh, I wish I had some good people to send you to, but I really don't. Lane Norton usually gives some pretty good information that's like no bullshit, where he will talk about like the tangible benefits, which is what Antoine and I will certainly talk about today. And we'll definitely talk about like some of the drawbacks for it, or like what populations it might not be the most effective tool for. But yeah, I think coffee and tea is one of those things that's like kind of up for debate still.
Yeah.
And like actually fasting.
Yeah, and then like the only thing like for like the only addition like to like Roman's statement, that's pretty much what I was gonna say. I was gonna include, and I'm glad that you mentioned the 24-hour thing, because I've heard like people say like IF is like, I think maybe even Mark Bell even said it on a Powercast. Like he said like, yeah, sometimes like I'll intermittent fast for 24 hours. And then, I'll do that for one day and then eat 2 days in a row standard, and then do the third day 24 hours. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes and no, because like that kind of, I don't know. I feel like that deletes like the purpose of like IF, where it's like a portion of the day where it's like more controlled, instead of like, like a general 24 hours where like that's for you to decide, or for religious reasons, because a lot of people do fast other than like standard practicing people that are working out. It's it's a religious thing. The Christians did it, the Muslims did it, the Jewish population did it, so it's like around, and even religion. I don't see it obviously more during this time, because a lot of people are like new gen to like religion, so it's like they have like their own hybrid methods of religion. But I'm going off topic, so let's throw that out. To add to Roman, pretty much like what he was saying with the state of time with either 8 or 12 hours, like you're pretty much choosing that window of eating. So like say if you're a day worker, you choose 9 to 5 you're going to eat. That's 8 hours, right? Yeah. And then, or you choose like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. if you're doing the 12 hours. Let's just say if you're a night worker, you do the opposite. So say if you work the overnight shift, you decide to eat during your work hours, or like, a little bit in your work hours / after work, and then you go to sleep. So those periods of time, you're just going to choose on your own. And that works best around, I guess you would want to make that around either your workout schedule, or like, say if you're a laborer, say if your job's like physical, you probably want to do that window around that time. As well as another great thing, I don't know if I told you this, Roman, but I did IF for like, I want to say almost 200 days out of 1 year before.
Yeah.
And that was a standard 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. I think that's what I did. I did 11 to 7. Yeah. It was 11 to 7. It was like maybe my sophomore year of college, when I was like getting more into lifting and whatnot. That was like my second year in, or 3 years in, of like serious lifting. So hopefully I could bring some knowledge into it. But that's the only thing I really wanted to add it in. You can either use this to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight. As Roman was stating, like,
yeah,
we're all in a census of dieting, you're losing weight. But, a lot of the ways that people will go about IF is from losing weight, and they'll hear from people, they'll hear from other IFers. That sounded like a swear word, other IFers. But like IFers. Those freaking IFers out there, I swear. But they'll hear from those population groups, and then that's when like the trend became like popular. It's like, hey, here's another way to lose weight. Here it is. Yeah. It's like the juice cleanse that you lose 100 pounds on 7 days. But yeah, like that's the only thing I wanted to add. Roman, quick question.
Sure.
What would you like to state about like IF within like populations? Like, do you want to start off with like some of the populations that because like I have a couple in mind, but I wanted to see what you had first.
Yeah. So as always, I think the Gainz podcast takes the neutral ground or neutral stance when it comes to a particular diet, or a particular like eating, or food strategy.
Yeah, we're about whatever.
Yeah. So the one thing to look out for, I would say, is if anybody's like promising you a magic diet with IF, it's not magic. It's not like, people are going to throw like technical terms like autophagy at you, which is essentially like your cell like cleaning out the cell. It's like lysosomal processes. So you have like different like cellular organelles that are going to travel like throughout the cell, and they're going to eat like mitochondria or like these energy producing organelles, and they're going to like essentially like recycle them and do all these like cool like processes like intracellular, like within the cell. It's gonna happen anyways. Like if you sleep 8 hours, which is the general recommendation, then you're gonna have autophagy happening. But,
I mean, look at Antoine. He must not have it because he has to eat so many darn calories. Doesn't he say he wakes up at like 4 or 3 in the morning to like eat a meal and then go back to sleep?
That's like very old school too. Like I think what ends up happening is like at the end of the day, what like truly matters is like what like your protein intake is. Yeah, like where your like calorie balance is. Because if you're in a net caloric deficit, it doesn't even necessarily mean you're gonna lose weight. Like you could be gaining weight. It could be like water weight, because like you could be like bloated from like drinking too much water, or your carb intake could be high. But like you could technically be losing fat at the same time. It's kind of a complex process, but like the whole like Kiko model, calories in, calories out, holds up pretty solidly to this. Like for example, you'll see people that join like a keto diet. Like a lot of people will say like, man, I lost like 3 or 5 pounds like fast. And a lot of that is just like fat displacing like water, or your body like burning through like glycogen, which is also going to help to like release some water from your body. So those are like two different sources, like fuel sources, or not necessarily fuel sources, because one's just going to be like hydration. But they can add up in regards to like total weight of the body. So you'll see people like say like, you know, within the first week, like, whoa, I lost like so much weight, like in the first week. It's not necessarily fat, and that's what a lot of people are like intending to do. They're looking to lose fat because they might want to lean down for, you know, some sort of show, some sort of event, a wedding, whatever it might be, just for like general health reasons, and it's totally fine if that's a goal that you have set.
Maybe even a WebEx right now. Maybe
Maybe
like a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. I want to have a little bit more like of a chisel chin. No.
Yes, I would like to lose some inches around the chin for the next meeting.
So stay away from people that say like intermittent fasting, like the new magic like pill, new magic diet or something like that. It's not magic what happens. Antoine said it beautifully, like it depends on what kind of like a quote unquote eater you are. If you find that the more you eat in a day or the more opportunity you have to eat in a day, that you tend to overeat because you tend to let's say eat to the past the point of satiety or the feeling of fullness, and you usually feel kind of like draggy or like you're dragging, you feel like a little like your mood is like not necessarily depressed, but you know, you feel like your stomach is a little bloated after you eat, and that seems to happen every time you eat. You seem to like be gaining weight and you can't really like maintain or like keep weight off type situation. Restricting your feeding window could be huge for you. There's still some other strategies that you'd want to work on, such as like mindful eating. So I would say like probably slow things down. Make sure you eat your meals with you know, a glass of water or two glasses of water. Try to cut out like soft drinks or just like sweetened beverages altogether, unless, you know, it's like a cup of tea, you know, at like 10 a.m. with like a splash of lemon and a teaspoon of sugar. Like that's 15 calories. Like don't worry about that. That's not going to break the bank. But like, you know, Gatorade.
Even snacking less.
Yeah, even snacking less. But yeah, so for individuals that find that they overeat and are gaining weight and are intending to lose weight or maintain, intermittent fasting could be a huge game changer for you. And the way I would start it is, let's say you work like a 9 to 5 type shift, you know, somewhere like 7 to 3:30, 9 to 5, 10 to 6 type deal. You find that you usually eat your dinner before 8 and you're finished eating before 8. And you can eat your breakfast kind of whenever. You don't necessarily feel hungry when you wake up. You could eat, but it would like tend to be small, and then you're like starving by lunch. Try a 12-hour restricted feeding window. So you find that you usually finish dinner by 8. So from 8 till 8 a.m., see if you can just withhold from eating or drinking anything that could break the quote unquote fast, and see if that helps. That way, what I would do in that situation is I would have a slightly larger breakfast around like 8:30, 9. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like exact. It could be like if you work 9 to 5, like let's say you get to work a little early. You pack like, let's say a bagel, you've got a glass of chocolate milk, and you've got some Greek yogurt with some fruit in there. If you're looking to like maintain muscle mass, you're hitting like some good protein targets there. You're getting some good carbs in there, all that stuff. You're getting some good micronutrients with the fruit. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty balanced meal. That would be a meal that I would feel pretty full off of. You know, like 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt, some fruit, bagel with, let's say, like a little bit of butter, like don't go like crazy, or like cream cheese, like totally cool, and a glass of chocolate milk. Boom, that would be great. That would hold me off until lunch most likely, or I might have like a small snack in between there. And then obviously you do your lunch, whatever you want to do for lunch. Then you do your dinner. Boom, and that's an easy way to get into intermittent fasting. And in that sense, if you are carrying your fullness from meal to meal, usually what you'll see is when people don't have these like massive hunger like pangs, they won't overeat as much. It does depend per person, but that would be a strategy that you could implement to see if it worked for you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's what helped me the most is it's just like, you just find out your schedule and you kind of figure out what you can and can't do within between. So, like I said before, I did this for almost a year. I'd say 3/4 of a year, and this is at the time when I was working at like Best Buy, and I used to do the open shift at Best Buy where I'd work at like 10 a.m. And I'm still an early riser, so most of the time, like I told you guys before, it was like 11 to 7. So sometimes like if I woke up early and it's 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. I don't have to work until 10 a.m. I would go to the gym real quick, and I would, and this is where I like messed up in the beginning. I would work out fasted or with a cup of coffee in me, and then like I'll go home, take a shower, get my Best Buy uniform on, and then I would go to work. And and I still the first part of like eating for the day would be 11 a.m. So I'd sit, and I worked in sales, and you guys all walked in a Best Buy. The sales people are always usually standing up most of the time. They're trying to interact with customers. So, by like 10 o'clock when the store opened, I've already worked out. I might have done cardio with that. I've taken a shower. I've made the effort to like pack like a lunch, and I've driven to work already, and with no food in my body. So I realized right away like to make it like an earlier window, because the fact that like sometimes I'd stay in there and I'm like, holy cow, I had to take a break because I felt like dizzy.
Yeah.
And so like that's the only like one thing like I would be cautious about. That's why I mentioned a little bit earlier, like make sure, like Roman put it in great like terms, like if you want to do like a 12 to 12 where it's like 8 to 8, but like you get to work a little bit before 9, it's what's going to get you pushed through a work day, a gym day, and then whatever else you have to do within a day. So that whatever personal things you have to do. So I think that's, if you could set yourself schedule wise like that, then do that. Also, another thing I wanted to mention too, since it is an eating window, and like let's just say you do 8 hours, still try to spread out everything. I also fell into like bad thing where I would do like 2 meals in the 8 hour window. I remember like that was like a thing back in the day where like you were only able to eat 2 meals, 8 hour window. So what I would do is I'd have like probably like 13 to 1500 calories first meal, wait about like 7 hours, 7.5 hours, like, bloated for the first like hour after eating. And then like before my feeding window was over, I would eat again. And then I'd be bloated and like almost wanted to go to bed right then and there because I've eaten like another 1500 calories. And at the time, like I was a smaller guy. I didn't have that much muscle mass. So like 3000 calories was a lot for me, or 2800 calories was a lot for me. And like that was a pretty high energy levels. So like that was like one of the things too. I would eat 2 meals. So, this eating window, you want to make sure you're still spreading out your protein, you're still spreading on your meals, you're getting more efficient meals within, like Roma was saying, with like the milk, the yogurt, the fruits, and the bagel, and then maybe a snack and then lunch. So still think of it that way. Still want to keep things balanced, kind of like normal eating. But yeah, go ahead, Roman. I don't know I think you're gonna say something.
No, that was awesome. That was really good. And that, I think that gave a lot of great context to the listeners. I would say like the same like strategy would probably prevail for individuals that are just trying to maintain. I think intermittent fasting could, if you tend to overeat, it would help to combat that by reducing your overall feeding window. I would say the individual that this probably wouldn't work for is an individual that tends to undereat habitually. You pretty much need to get calories in whenever you can. So I'd say intermittent fasting would probably not work too well for that type of person or that population. When it comes to gaining, I still think that like if you were in like a massing phase, you intentionally want to put on muscle, I still think that like intermittent fasting could be an effective strategy. And there's like one particular like population that I have in mind. So it's essentially like individuals that tend to like way overeat. So when you don't have a restricted feeding window, they might like get up in the middle of the night and snack on something. They might try to like fit in like 6 meals a day because they've heard that's optimal. And yeah, it absolutely might be, but you might find that like you're supposed to eat 3,500 calories and you give yourself a buffer of like 3,400 to 3,600, but you're routinely like adding in like 4,500 and you like still have hunger signals like towards the end of the day. So you're like, okay, I gotta eat. And like, even though you're tracking things, it's still like the scale weight's going up. And then like you're looking at your body comp and like, I can see like some muscle, but like I used to have abs. I don't have abs now. So for that population that for whatever reason, they have inclinations towards overeating or like over consuming calories, for example, I think that by limiting the feeding window, that might create some like effective rigidity to their schedule or when they can eat, so that like when you wake up in the middle of the night, you do have to develop strategies where you say like it's okay to be like hungry from like every now and then, you know, like you might not like love it, you might not like truly appreciate it, but like to understand like this is okay to be hungry in like pursuit of my goal for like a short period of time, you know, not to starve yourself, because like we rely on like sustenance every day. Like when we like we've like heard of people that have tried to like fast for like, they've done like water fast, like 72 hours type situation. That's fine if that's like what you want to do, or if it's for religious purposes, if you just want to try it, if you want to see if like just mentally if you can like tough it out, like that's awesome, great, good for you. But like I wouldn't necessarily do it for like quote unquote health purposes, like losing fat. Like that is not an effective strategy, because most likely you're going to come back and you're going to like way overconsume calories when you come back.
You're going to become a monster.
Just food in general. And you might gain all that weight back and it'll be like for nothing. So it's much better to have like a more conservative approach when you head back to this. But that was a little aside. So if you find that you overeat, intermittent fasting, like limiting your window, once again, 12-12 or 8-16 even, so 8 hours of feeding, you can still get like 4 or 5 like high quality meals in like during that time. You just do like your first meal at like hour 0, your second meal at hour 3, your third meal at hour 5, your fourth meal at hour like 6.5, and like right before hour 8 you have your like your fifth meal or whatever it is. And if you divvy that up, like even if you're eating like 4,000 calories a day, like 800 calories after you've been like massing for a period of time, like isn't that much per meal. Like when you get into the 1,000+ calorie range, like I've found that's where like I personally struggle. And this is like coming from somebody that like I was and like to a certain degree like still am like a habitual undereater. Like I tend to move like quite a bit. Like I'm always fidgeting. I'm like always getting up out of my seat, like walking around, like, oh, let's go for a walk. Let's do this. I'll get a workout. I'm going to go for like a 2-hour run, 2-hour bike ride, you know? And like, I will just, because I'm like so active sometimes, I would like before I like intentionally like said, okay, I'm going to eat X amount of meals per day. And I'm going to like intentionally gain weight. And I'm going to be okay with gaining weight. I was like, always tiny, and it was like so hard to put on muscle mass. And I was like, I would get frustrated because I'd say like, why do I get to this point where I'm like this strong, but then just kind of stops? I think you could work for that population.
That's really awesome. That's a good closing. And I want to close it out too with just one quick note is Roman hit the head on like the populations and whatnot. But I wanted to say if you have any like health risk or anything like that, you know, let's go back to episode 1 where we said, but like, hey, we aren't doctors, you know, go see a nutritionist, go see a doctor first. If you experience like any health diseases, disorders, anything like that, where like it could interrupt that, because like you don't want to interrupt your disorder or disease if like you're fasting. Like that wouldn't make sense. That no matter if you're overweight or underweight, like that's never gonna make sense. Like that's dangerous right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you're like diabetic, yeah, we definitely don't want you to become like hypoglycemic. You might have to have like snacks like at certain intervals. You might wake up in the middle of the night and test your blood sugar and find that like your blood sugar is like in a tank. Like by all means, like don't abide by a fast at that point. Like do what you need to do, whether it's like apply like exogenous insulin, like whatever your doctor tells you, like have a glass of OJ, like whatever it is, get your like blood sugar back in like a healthy range. Like that is just one population that like I'm aware of, where like intermittent fasting is probably like not a good idea. But yeah, definitely like we're not doctors. We are not doctors at all. I have my physical, my personal trainer's certificate, and Antoine and I are both like we're like fitness buffs, I guess you could say, fitness dudes that like work out a decent amount, and we like researching it and like talking about it, and we hope that we can share information that's helpful to you. But yeah, what we say is not like a holy grail or anything along those lines. We just want to give useful information to people so they can either like continue to like expand their knowledge horizons, or they can look towards like other experts, like Lane Norton I had mentioned, for example. Like go check out what he says on intermittent fasting, and like if it differs from anything that we said, like I'd probably defer to Lane Norton over myself.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much, man. This is great stuff. You guys know where to follow us: YouTube, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, the podcast app. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to Roman's YouTube channel. We're still trying to get his URL changed, and he needs subscribers. So go on Roman's page, get them freaking subscribers up.
Hashtag get him to 100.
Hashtag get him to 100. Follow us on Instagram. We've been posting a lot more. Sir Antoine has more gym equipment now. Your boy is back. Don't even worry about me. You guys been worried on me. You're like, dude, where's Antoine, man? He hasn't been in the gym. But he still looks pretty jacked. What's going on here? Steroids. Test GH.
Are people really saying that? Oh my god.
No, just my brother to my mom. He thinks I was like out of the juice. I'm like, nope, just still working on here. I'm like, I'm not even 200 pounds.
I'm on that Gainz diet, bro.
Oh my god. Well, follow us, like, comment, subscribe. Roman's dogs are just out of control now.
They're crazy right now. They need to go on a walk.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.